I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. We're speaking with John Parsons, I think one of my inspirations for continuing to do what I do, because what you do it not just for yourself, but you do it for everyone. You are a member of the Social Justice Cooperative. John Parsons, welcome back to the show.
Thanks a lot for having me, Jonathan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very well, sir. I always look forward to our conversations. You are having an austerity demonstration, not just any type of austerity, but anti-austerity demonstrations happening at the Harborside Park on Saturday at 1 p.m. Tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, well, the Social Justice Cooperative, I sit on the board of the co-op, and generally we've been involved with a lot of different causes, generally to do with trying to represent the voices of people who sometimes aren't heard or whose voices are marginalized in our communities. And we think that this budget coming out tomorrow is going to be an example of just that. So I've noticed that you've mentioned a couple of times some of the discussion going on between Dan Meads, for example, and folks at the NL Employers Council. Mm-hmm. And, well, for example, one thing that Dan is bringing up, he's talking about progressive versus regressive taxation, and this is something that we're interested in, too, in the co-op, you know, the way that certain forms of tax increases are going to affect certain segments of the population more so than others, right? Yes. So you'll use a term like, say, a tax is regressive. So an HST increase is regressive, for example, in that everyone is affected the same by it regardless of their income. So somebody who is on a fixed income or, poor families are going to bear the same brunt of that tax increase as people who are much better off, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it completely goes against, flies in the face of logic. I mean, I spoke with my buddy Al from Torbay tonight, and we're talking about how many hamburgers we're not going to be able to eat once this budget comes down because prices are going to go up, and it might not necessarily be beef, John. It could be the price of bread. It could be the price of sugar to manufacture or to include it in the delicious hamburger buns. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. The spread for those who live below the poverty line or even under $40,000, which is most of us, versus those who are on the sunshine list, we all have different stakes in tomorrow's budget, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. And I heard your call with Al, and I really appreciated the way that he mentioned a few times how this is going to hurt the people,
yep.
Right? And this is sort of my perspective and our perspective in the co-op, too, is the perspective of, that monolithic thing we call the people, and especially the people who have the least, right? And the people whose voices are least often heard. I've been listening into most of your show here tonight, and I've heard some interesting things said. One example, on the call with Richard Alexander, the comment was made about how we elect our politicians to make difficult decisions and these sorts of things, but even if that's the case, and I don't believe that we elected this current government to bring in an austerity budget. After all, they ran on a platform of no HST increase and no job cuts. So maybe what Al said about a batch of lies is what's getting some people elected is a lot more true than maybe any of us realize. But nonetheless, none of us voted for this, right? This hasn't happened in any sort of way that's really democratic, right? So we're not getting the views of the most vulnerable people in our society, no matter all the window dressing that's gone with the public consultations that the government has enacted.
What are you expecting on Saturday, John? You have some very successful demonstrations under your belt, and many people follow your movements because you are a good organizer of them. There's a difference between having a demonstration and having an effective one, and you are definitely in the latter group. So what are we looking at here for Saturday?
Well, a few people have asked me what's the purpose of having a demonstration that's not at Confederation Building. We are having the thing downtown. They said, what's the purpose if it's on the weekend? But the purpose exactly is so that we can try and create a sense of social solidarity, so that we can bring people together and try and reinstill some of the values that Tony was just talking about when he was talking about the kind of outpouring of support that's happened in his community in the wake of that terrible fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that one of the things that we've got to be really conscious of moving forward here is that we have to look after each other. You know, so no matter how this whole thing unfolds with this budget, it doesn't sound like it's going to be pretty. There's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of suffering for everyday people of the province. And I think that we've got to find ways to come together and to reinstill some of these values of caring for one another and looking after one another in difficult times, as this is going to be. Along with that, of course, we want to be, with our demonstrations, we do want to, demonstrate to the public and to the downtown core that we're going to march through, all the people that are going to be there. We want them to hear our message. We want them to see us and to understand that well, to be frank, that this is the beginning of what I expect to be a period of unrest here in this province. You know, this isn't going to be something that just happens with this budget and then people are going to stop being angry about it. You know, so we're trying to create a venue where people can, on the one hand, express a bit of that anger, but do so in a way that is constructive and hopefully leads to a sense of solidarity among workers, among business owners, among all the different sectors of society. Because one thing I think that we've seen in the last number of months has been a lot of division. You know, we've seen a lot of people pointing fingers, whether it's at the public service or whether it's at unions or even whether it's at people who are making decent salaries. Now, there's certainly critiques to be made in all different directions, but, you know, my message and our message with the co-op is that we've really got to empathize with the struggles of everybody, right? We got to care about the struggles of unionized workers. We've got to care about the struggles of small business owners. And most of all, of course, we have to care about the struggles of the most vulnerable people in our society.
Because most often they are unable to demonstrate on their own behalf. And that is the true definition, I think, of social justice. And that's why I respect what you do greatly.
Well, I appreciate it. And, you know, I think the last time we talked was around, we were working on some of the refugees welcome issue. And I know that you all were very helpful with us in terms of helping us spread the message and these kind of things. And I always appreciate you guys getting us on the air and allowing us to express our views.
We are the marketplace of ideas, sir, but we are only as good as the ideas. Thank you for being some good ones.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right. John Parsons, tomorrow's budget day, obviously. If you wish, call in tomorrow night. We're going to have a few folks in the studio, but we will be doing, I think, conference calls all night. So if you're into it, let's continue the dialogue tomorrow.
All right, I look forward to it. Can I plug the event one more time?
Please and thank you.
So it's Saturday. We're going to meet up at 1 p.m. down at Harborside Park on Water Street here in St. John's. We're encouraging folks in other communities of the province to get organized and carry out whatever sorts of demonstrations or actions they can or that they would like to. We've got resources available. If people want them, you can go on our website and find links to various sorts of, posters, flyers, handouts, these kind of things that might be helpful. So, yeah, we hope to see people out. We hope to see people get noisy and come together and show some solidarity.
Yes, indeed. And the website for the Social Justice Cooperative is sjcnl.ca.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot for your time, Jonathan. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. John Parsons, a hard-working man. You know, I say it many times here on the show, Tikkun Olam is a Hebrew phrase that means heal the world. And it is kind of the mandate or the duty of every Jew to leave the world a little bit better than you came into it. And, you know, look, there's no proprietary philosophy here. But the phrase is Hebrew, so, you know, that's proprietary. But the idea to leave the world a little bit better than when you came into it, it's up to all of us. And on that note, I salute the Social Justice Cooperative and all other organizations like it for what they